A brittle bone snaps under the weight of a minor fall. A digital monitor flashes a critical high blood sugar warning. On the surface, these appear to be two entirely isolated medical emergencies. For centuries, medicine has treated osteoporosis and diabetes as parallel universes. Patients consult an endocrinologist to manage their insulin and an orthopedist to address their crumbling skeleton. The medications and the specialists rarely occupy the same room. Large-scale epidemiological data has revealed a massive biological overlap. Patients with type 2 diabetes suffer rapid, unexplained bone fractures at rates far higher than the general public. At the same time, patients diagnosed with severe bone loss often show erratic, chaotic fluctuations in their blood glucose levels. Look at this network pathway connecting the skeleton to the pancreas. Bones are active endocrine organs, broadcasting and receiving chemical signals through a direct two-way communication line with the pancreas. Treating these organs as independent systems obscures the interconnected mechanisms driving their progression. This inter-organ communication is a fundamental layer of how both diseases sustain themselves. At the cellular level, type 2 diabetes creates a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation. The bloodstream becomes saturated with jagged inflammatory particles. These particles are inflammatory cytokines, primarily proteins known as TNF-alpha and IL-6. As blood circulates through the marrow, these cytokines infiltrate the delicate bone microenvironment. This diagram shows cytokines breaching the cell. Red dots bind to receptors, triggering the internal NF-kappa B pathway. Down in the nucleus, this blocks factors RUNX2 and Osterix, killing bone-building osteoblasts. Concurrently, RANKL spikes, accelerating mature osteoclasts that dissolve bone. The cellular construction crew is fired, while the demolition crew goes into overdrive. The structural matrix of the bone is hollowed out from the inside. Persistently high blood glucose acts as a corrosive agent, systematically dismantling the bone's internal architecture. This isn't a one-way assault. Deteriorating bone tissue launches a counterattack, sending metabolic shockwaves back into the systemic circulation. This bone-pancreas axis means damage in the skeleton actively dictates the health of the metabolic system. As osteoclasts tear through the bone matrix, excess RANKL protein floods out of the skeletal system and into the bloodstream. This RANKL travels from the collapsing bone marrow directly to the pancreas. Once it reaches the pancreas, RANKL induces apoptosis in the insulin-producing beta cells. It essentially forces these critical cells to commit suicide, slashing the body's ability to regulate its own sugar levels. Simultaneously, as bone health fails, levels of the hormone IGF-1 plummet. This loss causes the remaining cells to become resistant to insulin, further elevating blood sugar. This forms a closed, self-sustaining loop. Hyperglycemia drives bone resorption. The breaking bone releases RANKL. RANKL destroys pancreatic cells, and the dying pancreas allows sugar levels to climb even higher. Bone loss and metabolic dysfunction lock together, accelerating the rapid decline of both systems. To stop this decline, medical researchers are moving past isolated treatments and targeting the communication loop itself. This shift has explained a recent clinical mystery. Patients taking standard diabetes drugs like metformin have been showing unexpected improvements in bone density. Metformin interrupts the inflammatory pathway we saw earlier, shielding the bone-building osteoblasts from being destroyed by high sugar signals. We see the same phenomenon in reverse. Heavy-duty osteoporosis drugs like denosumab have been shown to stabilize blood sugar levels in diabetic patients. Because denosumab is designed to block RANKL in the bones, it inadvertently prevents that same RANKL from traveling to the pancreas and attacking the beta cells. The next frontier in breaking this cycle involves exosomes, tiny lipid bubbles that cells use to send precise messages across the body. Scientists are now engineering these delivery bubbles to carry bone-healing or insulin-regulating RNA directly to specific organs, bypassing the systemic side effects of traditional medicine. The human body functions as an inextricably linked network. By managing the metabolic health of the blood, you are providing the essential environment to sustain a resilient, durable skeleton.